Hello, my
I've
name
ne-
is Nikki O'Reilly O'Toole O'Shea, and I plan on going to convent school in the summer. And I fucked on the first day. Hey guys, welcome to a very special uncensored horror.
Steve,
Well,
I hope that was an April Fool's joke.
Oh my god, it's the day for it, isn't it, guys?
Absolutely.
let's see, I'm getting silly with my cat
Oh,
ears.
silly. So we decided to drop a little surprise episode for you guys on a very, some would say, underrated film from 1986, April Fool's Day.
86
Now,
is
if
a
you
good
haven't,
year.
I know, right? If you haven't seen April Fool's Day, please be aware that this episode is going to be full of spoilers and plot points. So pause us and then watch the movie and come right back and join the conversation. But let's start out with when was the
Let's
first
talk about
time
the
you
poster.
saw? Let's talk about this poster because it is red hot.
It's a great poster. I mean,
it sort of
I love it.
captures everything. I think it even is almost a spoiler in itself. Like, but
I think it catches it catches your eye. It's a little silly, but still spooky, and
super 80s.
Very 80s. And a good poster is so important, especially in the horror genre, because if you're not drawn into it by the poster, then what are you coming in for?
Exactly. So we'll give you a very, very brief, spoiler-free.
Sorry, I was trying to be clever then and put the poster to one side.
That's all good. We're not that smart sometimes. So, the plot of the movie revolves around a group of college students vacationing on an island estate for April Fool's Day weekend, which is slowly and nefariously infiltrated by an unknown assailant. And that's as far as we're going to go on the plot at the moment. Now,
what I want to know is who goes away on April Fool's Day weekend? That's just asking for shenanigans.
Well, otherwise there wouldn't be a movie, would there?
True.
You're not going to stay at home.
But I would be always second guessing everything that's happening, but I guess this movie takes it to another level where
I wouldn't trust anyone. I would not trust a single person I was with that weekend. I'd be like, no.
Do you know what? I really feel like this is like when COVID lifts, this is something that's going to happen to the Uncensored family. We're all going to go and do like a get together, and
God.
something's going to go. I don't know if we're going to go as far as murder, but you never know with you never know with some of those bitches.
You never know when Jeff gets fired up.
So let's talk about the first time for us seeing the movie. Do you guys remember when you saw the movie the first time?
It was a few years ago for me. I set a goal for myself, big lofty goal, to find a holiday movie for every holiday that year. I don't think I succeeded for all of them, but I was pretty shocked to find this one, honestly.
It was like, for me, I was working in a video store, so we're going back. We were like 1998 or something like that, 99. Like I was in high school still, and it was just one of the movies that was, it was a VHS that was in the horror section, and I was like, I'll give it a go, because I knew Amy Steele was in it. I was a fan of Friday the 13th by this point, so I was like, yeah, I'll watch it just for her, and I was not disappointed.
Well, look, that's a very good spoiler-free one. The first time I saw this movie, so again, this is going to date very badly, especially for Australians. You'll understand. The introduction of Foxtel into Australia was a big thing, so it was our cable service, our first cable service here, Katie. And on Friday night,
90s.
Yep, on Friday nights on Arena, I believe it was, there was the midnight shift with Tabitha, and they showed B movies, basically horror B movies, two usually, and like it was all talk about horror shows and all that kind of thing. And I remember stumbling across this one, and they played it. I was just like, "What is this movie?" why have I never? I'd never heard of it. I'd never seen it, and then I remember taping it off Foxtel
Taping
and watching
it.
watching it on a VHS and watching it again, and be like, "This is really different from everything else that was floating around at that time." And yeah, I remember it was it's like because it aired it from midnight till like 2 a.m. And so it was prime horror movie time to be watching it. I don't know, it must have just sunk in there and found its little nestling place in my happy little brain. But yeah.
A bit of a fun fact, but also a little tiny bit of a spoiler. This movie is actually pretty famous for being aired around 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. in the late nights horror movie kind of thing because its lack of violence. So it was easy to air without too much editing.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
and because the film is a mystery, so it's like the original Friday the 13th. You don't know who the killer is
or what's going on for half of it.
or really what's going on, but like you start having things escalating to the point that people die. And it's a good little build, actually. I was watching, and I actually enjoyed even the character interactions because there was a lot of characters, though. I've got to say,
we're about to recap those characters now, Luke. So we have a fairly big cast with this one, guys.
Here's the group.
Here's the group. All right, I'm about to.
Beautiful.
I'm about to go through everyone's name. So we have
from left to right. Go.
Oh wait, I can't see the picture. I'm just gonna read my.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I'll tell them where they are in the picture when you say who it is.
We've got Jay Baker as Harvey Edison Jr. Harv.
Oh gosh, I think Harv is
Harv
in the tie at the back.
Yes, he is. We have Deborah, the amazing Deborah Foreman as Muffy St. John, who is our
Muffy's
hostess.
in the middle, being all fabulous with her hands out.
Yep. Deborah Goodrich is Nikki.
Is Nikki. So Nikki was my favorite because she was all like slutty.
I want to talk about a couple of these characters because they they are very interesting. Then we've got Rob.
Okay,
Ken Orlanter's Rob, who is
okay. Oh wait,
was Rob
Kit's boyfriend?
Okay, so
the main guy. Okay, so he's the shirtless guy here.
Correct. Yes.
Griffin
O'Neill as Skip St. John. Spoiler.
As Skip. Oh, okay, yeah. So Skip was very
Muffy's.
So he's the guy there next to the Back to the Future dude with the wet shirt. So he was a lot older than them. That was one of my notes I made when during some scenes. I was like, is he their dad? He's like
what about Leah Penzette as Nan Youngblood?
Oh my gosh. She was like the nun of the group.
Interesting, right?
She's actually like someone's mom who come along with them.
Yep.
She was just
then we've got Clayton Rhoda as Chaz.
Chaz was the cameraman there. He was the movie guy, right?
Yeah.
He was the one that showed Nan some porn in the beginning of the movie.
Probably our two most famous, I would say. Miss Amy Steele as Kit Graham.
Oh yes. So we've got little Amy here. Like we had the shirtless photo, but I do have her. I know I do. Well, we'll have her later.
But we never know what Amy Steele looks like. And Thomas F. Wilson of Back to the Future fame as Arch Cummings.
Yes, so we do have Arch, and he was Biff in Back to the Future.
He was. A lot of this cast were very prominent in the 80s. I was looking back at their like IMDb's and stuff. A lot of this cast did a lot of work.
Well, Deborah Foreman had been in a movie with Nicolas Cage before this.
Just before this, yeah.
So she was sort of already on the up and upper. Some may argue this was like oops.
Look, I don't think so because ultimately
horror in the 80s isn't what it is now. Like
exactly. But look, so it was as Katie said, it was released around March. It was March 27th. This got released, which is smart to start with because it's April Fool's Day and it got released the Thursday before. It had an initial budget of $5 million. On that opening weekend, it made $3.4 million, and its total box office gross was 13 million. So it's very, very close to tripling its budget, which is considered a hit. If you triple your budget, you're normally considered a hit. But the main thing, the director, I've got a quote from the director who said, where is it? He says, the tragedy, I think, or the great disappointment was that Paramount didn't know how to release it other than as a typical slasher flick. Most audiences came in expecting to see something that they weren't going to see. Do you think that's a fair judgment?
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it is a slasher flick right up until a certain point, and then it turns everything on its head. And I think you either take that one way or the other. You'll either go, "Oh, that's so clever," which I think this generation now would.
Yeah.
But at the time, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, they were all sort of peaking. Halloween, that's what people wanted. So with this twist, it might have been like a bad taste at the end.
Yeah.
Well, now you have people who specifically seek out movies with these great twists, and I can see people
getting the Sixth Sense of its time.
Yeah, I can
it's very squeamish. It's very tongue in cheek. It's got that,
It was.
I could see people coming into this expecting a classic slasher and then just being very angry about the result. So,
I think I just think you got to go along with the ride with some kind of
no, I
sometimes. Agree. Now, I want to bring up: does this girl remind anyone else? Anyone else? She's like a hybrid. This is going to again date me very badly. Of Stephanie from the original Degrassi Junior High, and Sarah Michelle gellar. I get the way she speaks and her line delivery.
Degrassi, so I can't really relate.
Her line delivery sometimes is straight out of Sarah Michelle Gellar's mouth, and I've always thought that. I was like,
well, she looks like Sarah Michelle Gellar. That could be.
She looks just like Sarah Michelle Gellar right there.
Yeah. I was like, every time I watch a movie, I'm like, they've got to be related or something. And then the other dude.
She played Nikki. She was my absolute favorite character in the whole thing. I think she gave it
That's because you're a slut.
Possibly. But it just gave it something more than the other characters were all very... Well, I guess she was also like a cookie cutter of what she was, but she did it very well.
And the other guy I want to talk about is your mate over here, Skip. He gives me such strong... what's his name? Oh my god, Matthew Lillard vibes.
Yes.
Watching it again, I was like, this dude's like the proto Matthew Lillard. Like both of, and especially Arch and Skip together. It's like, I don't know if Matthew watched this and went, "This is Stu Marker. This is who Stu is." It's crazy.
Billy.
Well, I don't know. Billy was very serious, but those two to get melted together makes Stu. I think it's very. But I thought it was a great cast. I thought that they all were. I would believe that they would be friends. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, even though Muffy had like a mansion and stuff, and were they all college friends? Is that
they were all college friends? Well, they all knew Muffy from college. Is the general idea?
Okay. They are all Vassar College students.
Okay,
yes.
So they're not all so Muffy's just like the cream of the crop as far as wealth goes.
She's the token rich friend.
Yeah, but they were all obviously rich to attend college back in those days.
Well, if you're going to Vassar, you've got some money, so yeah.
That wasn't unusual for them to be all like, "Oh, Mum, Dad, we're just going to Muffy's Island for the weekend.
I'm just going to this island. We're going to the other island next weekend."
To a holiday mansion.
That probably really helped as well because they did film on an island together. Like they were there. It was a 6-week filming. 6 weeks.
Oh,
6 weeks. They knocked this movie out.
That's pretty quick.
Yeah. Well, this is what I found. So I don't know. Feel free to correct me, people. But they filmed in separate locations, but that most of it was filmed in an island in Vancouver. So.
Yes, I read the same thing that it was filmed.
You can understand why that bonding process it works. Like I don't know. I feel like this is probably one of the better slasher casts. You've always got 1 or 2 weak links. Of course, there's a couple of weak links here. I feel like old mate, the
Some of the day
boyfriend,
players.
the
Aw.
boyfriend.
Well, he was cast because he was just like the stock standard, pretty good looking guy.
Rob.
He's the man candy.
Yeah.
He's very
You know,
Kevin
he'd
Bacon.
walk around in his tidy whities and stuff.
You know, I don't know when he
Look
gets
at
into the
Look at
the
dad
bed,
bod.
those tidy whities aren't tight enough, and you just get a very up leg shot. That's just like, whoa, okay.
I'll
Yeah.
have to go back to that.
No,
scene.
you can't see anything, but it's just like, oh, costume department. I don't know if there was one. But,
Apparently,
you know
I
what I mean?
missed that one, but leave it to you to notice.
No, well, I
it.
was watching it on like a big screen last night. And I was like, oh, Nelly saw some balls. What's that? Balls. I saw some balls.
Oh, boy.
So, yeah, the producer of this movie is also Friday the 13th related. It's Frank Mancuso Jr., who
Gave us 3
you know.
Friday movies, didn't he?
Mondo, and that is how we got Amy Steele in this role.
Which Friday the 13th did he give us? He obviously gave us part 2.
Part 2, Part 3, Part 5.
That makes sense. Similar vibes.
I think that's correct. Come on, Luke, you're the Friday king. You should know.
Oh
what's going on.
well, someone can fact check us.
I think that's Part 2, Part 3, Part 5.
Yeah.
I don't think
Whoever's
it was
watching,
part 4.
you let us know.
You let us know. I'm sure you'll correct us if we're wrong. But yeah, so I think the house is great too. The house is a great location, like a great location for a horror
Absolutely.
movie.
I should
I'm like,
I love
think
big
I wanna
old
be-
houses.
yeah, like I'm like, move me in. I'll take it right now. That's
Seriously.
fine. I will take it. All right. So should we dive into the film a little bit more?
Let us
Absolutely.
dive in.
Let us dive in, literally.
Well,
So the
actually,
film, go, Luke.
yes. No. Let's dive in.
Dive
I
in.
was just-
Okay. So our film opens on the dock, a very like sex lies and videotape kind of beginning that I alluded to at the beginning of the film. The film, our podcast. We meet Harvey, Nikki, Rob, Skip, Nan, Chaz, Kip, and Arch as they are meeting for a ferry to whisk them away to a secret island escape for spring break / April Fool's Day to Skip's cousin, the mysterious Muffy St. John. And then,
What does Muffy stand for?
Muffy?
That was
Muffy.
like a
Muffy.
name back then. Muffy was pretty like popular.
It's a line in the movie.
It's a yeah.
Oh, really?
Muffin
Sorry.
stuff. The Muffinator. Muff Dav.
Must dive.
Muff Dav. So meanwhile, while that action's happening on the mainland, we do see Muffy blundering about the house downstairs. I love Deborah Foreman, and I've only really ever seen her in this. I think she's a fantastic actress. I don't know why. And she discovers an old Jack in the Box.
See, that
then-
to me is just like starting the movie off very creepy because Jack
Very
in the Boxes
mysterious.
are super creepy.
Very mysterious. The whole thing was very 80s, very mysterious, very good. So anyway, as our general gaggle of cast / victims get to meet each other, the April Fool's pranks begin.
Mhm.
Now, I didn't know what to think on this first one because as there is a pretty, I don't know, in retrospect, not that gruesome, but kind of gruesome scene just after a fake out. So they love a fake out in this movie, and I think that this is like a big proponent of, you know, them being a little bit tongue-in-cheek about the slasher thing that was going on. But there's a mysterious knifing which causes everyone to get a bit panicked and offset. But then after they dive into the water to rescue Skip, Buck, it's such an, I don't know, it's such an American name.
I hear
Buck.
Buck and I think of Kill Bill. My name
Exactly.
is Buck.
Buck stays in the water to tie the ferry line to the dock and gets crushed against it, only to come up again screaming with a mangled eye. And I thought that back in the day, I was like, oh my god, that's amazing special effects. I don't know if it still is these days.
Oh, probably.
So the whole the sheriff just happens to be floating around out there as well. Buck and the captain are thrown into the boat. They drive off into the sunset, screaming in pain, covered in blood. The sheriff is automatically put on warning that these guys are doing something weird. And then they're on the island, and Muffy St. John arrives to investigate.
I'm sorry, but that would be the end of my weekend right there. I'd be like, you know what, guys?
Yeah, but they have no way to get back. The ferry's not coming back.
Yeah,
until
but then would
Monday.
you be sitting down, like, having yummy dinners and stuff together? Like, oh, remember our friend who got stabbed through the eye? Oops.
Well, he wasn't
Well-
a friend, really. He was just a
well.
rando.
Still got to eat.
Still.
Still gotta
Still got to eat.
Still gotta eat. So yeah, they head towards the house, and
Okay, so Katie's Muffy.
it is revealed that Muffy comes from quite a bit of money.
No, really,
house-
the island and
the
the
hou-
house didn't give it the hint.
Well, the fact that on a clear day you can see the Kennedys, hello, it's pretty.
At first, I was like, is she talking about the mountain or something? It's like, no, she's talking about the actual Kennedy
The actual
family.
Kennedys, they must be across the lake. Very interesting, and we start to get little plot points revealed that Muffy's mother has passed away, and she's receiving an inheritance when she becomes of age and graduates. So they're all basically settle into island life, as it were. We get a cute scene with the three lead girls, cooking up a nice dinner of frags and beans in the kitchen.
While they're reading from a catalog, like from a newspaper.
They're doing
or
like
is it
It's a Cosmo.
I think it's meant to be a Cosmo Sex Quiz, right?
It is.
Yeah.
It's a Cosmo Sex Quiz.
Here's Muffy's house, by the way, because
Because
she's-
what is a weekend with your girl pals if you're not taking the Cosmo quizzes, right? Very
Well,
80s. Very, very 80s.
But those Cosmo quizzes were pretty full on, even for the 80s. It's like
I mean,
some of the stuff was coming out. It's like, oh, wow.
yeah.
I mean, we start to get a good idea of the interpersonal relationships going on within there. Nan's obviously an outsider that no one knows. And I think we start to understand that Muffy is a very eclectic friend to have. She collects different people to bring together. Nan's a very much an outsider. There
Was she
seems to
bringing
be
them together to be friends, or was she?
Well, look, there's a very interesting relationship between Nikki and her boyfriend, where it's like, is he a brave man, and da 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 da. Obviously, Skip, kind of goes off on his own.
Well,
we lose
he's
Skip.
actually the only one who's sort of worried about.
He seems to be like guilty. Yeah, he seems to be guilty.
The rest of them are all like, let's just have fun.
Yeah, so they sit down for dinner, and the pranks begin with the old spilly sippy glass.
Yes,
And a very- Whoopee cushion, and you see a very I've got thunder. A very portentous smile from Muffy St. John as she says April Fool's Day. So yeah, this is where the pranks begin. But some of the pranks are a little bit more personal and nasty than a dribble glass exploding cigar, which is great. I love that exploding cigar and the whoopee cushion. We start to see personal stuff being dropped.
Some
So
malice in the pranks. Yeah.
there's some clues to an accident of some kind that killed a few people in Harvey's room. Then in Nan's room, we have an audio tape of a crying baby.
Yes.
And then, is it Chaz? I think it's Chaz's room. We get the heroin paraphernalia in the medicine cabinet. So things start to get a little bit
What other movie
darker.
does
Me.
things like that? Like hints to their past and things like that.
I feel like it becomes a bit of a thing after this. Like they're like, oh, look at our cast's secret past. And what I like about this is they don't really go into it. It's left as a mystery. There's a mystery
some
within
of
the
it,
mystery.
some of it gets revealed.
Yeah,
Like,
we never
like,
learn about the accident that Harvey was in.
No, we don't. But we learn like Nan Nan reveals like she had an
Do you think she
abortion.
had? Yeah, it was an abortion, right?
Which
Yeah,
is
and it
She-
was
scandalous
she-
in the 80s.
But was it an abortion or did she have a baby? Do you think?
I think it was an abortion.
I thought it was an
because-
abortion.
They don't
Yeah.
specifically state. They don't specifically state.
Well,
And if she had been pregnant, if she had been like, date raped or something like that and disappeared for 9 months, it would explain why some people don't know who she is.
That's true. That's true. Or
Just put that out there.
see, I
it
don't.
might explain too why she was so sort of reserved and quiet as well, because she actually had some shit going on.
Yeah, she seems to be this.
I suspected her when the shit went down. I started looking at the quiet girl like, it's Nan.
Yeah, and then our first victim is poor. I was going to say young Skip, but we don't think Skip's that young.
He was the 27-year-old of the group.
Skip makes two mistakes straight away. He's drunk off his ass, and then he finds a little bit of leaf and goes into the boat shed to, relax a bit more. We get, I think the first time I ever actually saw it on screen, the random cat out of nowhere, the random cat going wow in a locked boat shed.
And then that just become a staple in horror.
And
Damn
then
cats.
And then all of a sudden, Skip disappears out of shot. And that's the last we see of him for a little while.
Dun dun dun.
Dun, dun, dun. So cut to the next day. This is where things get interesting.
This is the next morning.
This is the morning after the night before.
Listen,
What do you have
she's
to
not
that
looking that young either, friend. But I think that was just a thing in the 80s.
Heavy
where these,
makeup too.
yeah, these heavy makeup making these young people look so old, but she does not look like she's wearing heavy makeup. She just looks like she's in her 30s. But let's keep going.
Yeah, so the next morning there's a distinct change, especially in one Miss Muffy St. John.
Not our little muff.
She's gone from being a very well put together young lady to a bit of a mess. A bit of a jumpy, twitchy mess at that. Which no one seems to be that worried about. They just think she had a bit of a good night, a bit of a heavy night. Which, mate, I don't know who you're fucking if you wake up that fucked up, but whatever. So they do the
What a thing
typical
cause
island
nervous
thing.
breakdowns,
Yeah, they do the typical island thing. They play soccer. They study. Ugh, Dan. They do some study, and then
Doing dead.
What a
Ugh.
buzzkill, man.
what a buzzkill! Yeah, she's a boner killer. She is a boner killer. Then Kit and Rob disappear for a little bit of alone time because they've got some issues. It's revealed that Rob's not serious enough to go to medical school, but I don't think Rob looks like he's smart enough to go to medical school. But that's okay.
Stop it. It's just bad casting.
Stop it. And when they get down to a little bit of Nicky Nuna, underneath the dock floats by Skip on a door. It looks like a door. Quite dead.
Quite dead.
Quite dead, and interrupts a bit of love
But yeah,
making.
Amy Steele / Kit, as her name is. They run outside and look for him like he played a prank. I guess because of all the pranks.
Well,
But
wouldn't you
he
be?
looked very dead when he
looked
floated
very
past.
dead.
It's a lot of effort to go to.
Old mate can't keep his pants on either. We nearly see a bit of Rob's knob, but as he's running out, he's pulling up those pants. I was like, okay, you go, boy. He was obviously method,
Mhm.
So they head back, and we begin the search for Skip. Now, somewhere in this conundrum, we also have a little bit of a confrontation between Nan and Muffy.
Yeah.
Not our Nan.
Yes.
Because Nan and Muffy apparently went to like an acting school together or something.
Well,
Mhm. They were in the
yeah.
drama society.
They're in the drama
together.
society together.
There you go.
And I think there's like a little bit of a hint of some like sapphic stuff going on between Muffy and Nan. Like, do you guys get that? That Nan's a bit too interested in Muffy.
I think Nan is just sick of being a buzzkill and wants to be cool like Buffy. You know, single white female.
Yeah, so she's Nan is just wandering around crying with her her cardigan constantly falling off one shoulder. It's very soap opera, her whole thing. And then Nan mysteriously disappears as well.
And during her disappearance, Archie, he gets caught a snare trap.
This is where we start to. This is where we start to lose cast left, right, and center.
Yeah, and there's a snake in front of him, and someone kicks the snake away. So you think, oh, good, they saved him. And then he looks up and he's scared, and then that's the last we see of Archie.
Like that. That's all we do. So while that's also happening, Nikki and Harv are sent to get water because our water supply has mysteriously gone off after a night. And during that process, Nikki falls into the well, where she discovers the severed heads of Skip and Arch, along with the body of Nan. And then, I know, right? That's a pretty shitty day. You know what I mean?
You know,
the holiday should end here.
Yeah, definitely. The holiday
but you got to keep
over.
the party going. You know, something about a couple severed heads ruin your
Don't just line up again the next night. Oh, let's have dinner again.
Yeah, whatever.
Less people to eat our French and beans.
So anyway, we are left with our survivors at this point, locking themselves on the island, or on the island. Of course, they're not on the island.
Locked on, yeah.
They're locked inside the house on the island. It's getting more and it's getting
inside this
very
pretty house.
Inside this very pretty house where they do some wandering around, etc., etc. Now, I don't know about you guys, but there's one scene that always makes me go a little bit when I watch this movie, and I can't deal with that fucking painting.
With what?
Which painting? Oh, the one with
the painting
eyes behind it,
with the cat's eyes behind it.
Yeah,
Oh.
and then they take the painting off, and then they find there's a cat clock there.
That is one of the creepy. I don't know whether it's because I was a lot younger when I first watched it, and I was like, oh, eyes painting moving. But even last night, I was like, ooh, creepy eyes. So our lovely girl Nikki meets her end, and so does her boyfriend.
Talk us through that, because I forget how they get popped
so
off.
it's all about
cupboard or something, like you can hear her screaming for him.
No, this is all about the sexy. They're about to have a sexy time. They're about to have some kind of sexy times because that's what they do. They got busted in a very awkward position the night before.
This is after she fell in the well, and
yeah, this is after.
Dead body.
This is after.
What is the first thing you're going to think of when you fall into a well and you get pulled out?
That's her argument.
These people need to
I need
die.
some release. I need to hit stress.
That's her argument. Chaz is trying it on because Nikki finds a gimp mask and some bondage stuff as her.
I was going to say, I'd be also concerned she's like a necrophile.
Well, she found it. But anyway, she leaves the room and comes back, and he's got the gimp mask on, holding his junk area. And she's like, blah, 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 blah. And then smacks it away, and there's a puddle of blood in his crutchal area. And he's dead. She turns to run, and then she's stopped by someone. The door closes. That's all you see.
Oh.
Yeah. So meanwhile, we have Kit. Kit and Rob.
That's Amy Steele.
Kit and Rob. I was going to say Amy Steele just because. I know
I was going.
I love Amy Steele. So they've been in contact with the sheriff, and the sheriff hasn't been able to arrive, but when he arrives, he's going to shoot up a flare for them to come down. So they do a bit of investigating around the house and find that clock and all that kind of stuff. Anyway, the flare goes up. They run around. They find what I'm assuming is quite a gruesome scene. Because they've discovered in the attic all of the little dollies that everyone has.
Yes, so we didn't mention that earlier.
We didn't really mention it. Yes.
So the dolls were all lined up on on the dining table when they first sat down for their first meal of where their place was at the table.
It's
And
like a
now
place
you
card.
can see the dolls, like the ones that were found in the well,
Yep.
are there. The heads exactly how they were found dead. Like it was almost like it was
See-
obviously very planned.
If I walked in on that, I'd start swimming to shore. That'd be it for me. Like, all right, I can't even salvage this weekend
And yeah,
anymore.
then we see Nikki and her boyfriend's doll covered in blood. So as the flare goes up, they run around, they look into Nikki's room. Obviously, there's a bit of a bloodbath. They run out, they go to exit. They go down to the dock, and there's an empty boat. I was like, okay.
So at this point, who's still alive?
At this point,
it is.
No, everyone's gone. Everyone's
all
gone
dead.
by this point. It is literally
Oh.
Kit and Rob. This is where it ends up. Everyone else is mysteriously dead or missing.
Oh.
So they hop into
Maybe-
the boat. They hop into
Yeah.
the boat, and we get a bit of a reveal. We get a mysterious reveal that there is a. Well, not yet. Miss St. John has escaped from a mental institution where she's been for the last 3 years. To which Kit says she can't have been in a mental institution. She's been at Vassar.
Mhm.
So-
Meanwhile, we are starting to look. Exactly. Meanwhile, we are starting to look for keys for a boat. We've got no keys for a boat, so we have to go back to the house. Which this is where like the tension ratchets up a little bit, because you can imagine being in that situation and going, "Shit, I have to go back to that house. There's no way. There's no way I have to go back to that house." So
But
they
isn't
went
that
back.
how it always is? Like,
I know, but I feel like this is where this movie gets very serious. It's like it's been jokey, and now it's like, ooh, I feel the tension a little bit here. So they go back to the house, and the house that was previously all open is now locked down. There is one attic window open. Oh, not attic window, basement window. I was like, Jesus, how they get the attic? Which they managed to get through and, find themselves within. They find a growth chart.
Okay.
and it reveals.
It has a name on it, of course, Muffy. But
Yes.
next to that name, it has another name.
Buffy!
Buffy.
Twin sister Buffy.
Yes. So the St. John that is terrorizing the house is Muffy's twin sister Buffy, who has escaped from a mental institution.
Dun dun dun.
At which point we have another encounter with that painting.
Yes.
And this time, it ain't no cat clock. It is the head of Muffy St. John that is behind it. The drama. Cut to running upstairs, them trying to find the boat keys. And oh, actually, no, they get nailed in the basement, don't they? Yes, they do. Buffy reveals herself and nails the window shut, traps them effectively inside the house. And this is where we get the chase scene. They come up, Muffy with the biggest knife I've seen in history.
That is a pretty big. I didn't really notice it at first. I didn't
Hunts
really
them
think
down.
about it, but Jesus, yeah, it is. That's a machete. That's not even a knife.
Hunts them down, and poor Rob, poor not pretty but stupid Rob, ends up locked in what I think is a butler's
I was going to
pantry.
say, why didn't Rob just overpower her at this point?
He ends up locked in a butler's pantry, and Kit is left to face Buffy alone. And it doesn't look good because old Deborah Foreman obviously did her own stunts and jumped on that table with all kinds of gusto. Then lunges in for the kill in the dining room as the doors behind Kit spring open to reveal
April Fools.
April Fools, kids. Everyone that is
It's
being
alive.
dead is alive,
Everyone.
chilling.
Sipping
Like a villain.
champagne, aren't they?
Not
The
yet.
fine
Not
babes
yet. We're
from
not
last
shipping. We're
night.
not sipping champagne yet. Everyone is alive. Rob, meanwhile, is still screaming in the pantry. Cut to a bit of an explanation from Buffy St. John. That Buffy St. John It's not a real thing.
Yeah.
Cut back to Rob. I think this is hilarious. I don't know if it's intentional comedy or it's just that the actor is probably not the best.
It's probably a little bit
Rob
both,
is
honestly.
Rob's not alone in the pantry. We see Buck with his mangled eye come out, give him a kiss on the neck, which is very strange. I don't know. A kiss on the neck, and then remove his prosthetic eye, stick it to Rob's forehead, and release him. All the while, Rob is screaming for a good nearly, I think it's a minute and a half. Where he's just sitting there going, ah, ah.
I mean,
Rob's release
same.
discovers the whole thing, and then we get the explanation. So the whole reason that this has happened, as part of Muffy's inheritance, she gets the house, but she has to prove that she can maintain it and make it viable financially. So her plan to prove to her dad that it can happen is to create a bed and breakfast murder mystery weekend.
I love it.
This was her trial run. Now, the only people that knew what was going on are the sheriff. Yep. The sheriff, who was her uncle, I believe, and the boat pilot, the ferry captain, and Buck, who is actually a makeup artist. And that is how all of the prosthetic heads and bodies and were done, because he's a special effects.
I was going to say, I'd imagine if you went on this murder mystery weekend, you'd be paying out a pretty penny.
Exactly.
You'd be doing weird like face casts and that.
But this is what Muffy says. She says, obviously, for the paying guests, the experience won't be as extreme, but she needed to know that the setup that she had would work. And I think it's brilliant. At that point in my horror watching, I hadn't seen a big, red herring sting in the tail thing happen like that. I was like, this is great. Like, why is that? That's amazing. Like, I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. Each of the victims had no idea until they were dead or missing that they were, part of it. So I guess that really would have helped. And then we all get a bottle of champagne and we celebrate our success. Until
Muffy's a bit crazy though, because she could have got really hurt during that.
That's what she says.
Hold on, we're not done.
We get the reveal that Arch shit himself as well with the snake. So that's always fun. Arch crapped his pants and they're in the wash after the snake experience. So poor Arch, he just can't win.
Listen, I shit. And then would be real honest here.
So then we have a little end scene.
We have a little sting in the tail. We have a very, I think Deborah Foreman's great. Drunk Deborah Foreman, it was fantastic because I think we've all been that drunk that we tell people that aren't there to be quiet. And as Muffy returns to her room, she finds a noose hanging in her doorway, which she releases because she knows how it was done. Harvey was found hanging earlier on. So anyway, she goes and settles her drunk ass down, when out of nowhere, springs Nan and slits her throat. Or does she? As it's revealed to be a fake knife with a blood pump, she gives her a little kiss, and we fly back to the Jack in the Box that was left sitting on the bed. End of movie, kids. And then it cues to an amazing song. I love the song at the end of this movie. Too bad you're a wacko.
Yeah, wasn't there because there's a book as well, right?
Yes, I'm about
and
to
there's
hit
another
on this.
ending.
So
yeah,
there was originally shot for the movie as well. So the third act had the group leaving. So the whole group left the island. And then Skip returned because he's revealed to be the twin. And that is revealed to be the twin in the actual movie as well. But he's Muffy's actual twin and murders her to take the family inheritance. So they said, Paramount said it was too dark. Too dark, can't happen.
Leave it as a
because
jokey.
yeah, leave it as a jokey. But it is in the novelization, and it was actually shot. So there is a version of it somewhere where Muffy gets her comeuppance. So whether that will see the light of day one day or not is another thing.
I wanted to bring up the fact that there were hints that this was all kind of a hoax.
Yeah, Katie's done some research. So why don't you take us through that, Katie?
So in the very first scene, you see Muffy kind of propping the window open in the cellar, and you'll know that that's the window that Kit and Rob crawl through, and they discover all those clues.
So
and
she knew, like, once the house is locked up, that's the entry point.
Right. So that's deliberate it was obviously deliberate, but it was crucial to her plan to execute and work out the way that she wanted to. And like we said before, Nan said that she met Muffy in the Drama Society. And that should kind of be like, oh, she's an actress. That's not suspicious at all, right? She must be good at it. It's weird, right? You'll also notice that Deborah Foreman's nails are red. I mean, not uncommon in the 80s to have these, fire engine red nails, but they're red the whole time. So even when she turns into Buffy, she's still got the red nails.
Bit of a clue.
Should have got your nail polish out, Muff.
Right? And then they announced that the water main is broken because it wasn't working. But when Nikki's packing to leave, she turns on the sink, not even thinking about it, and it just...
The water's
so,
back
right? So maybe something's going a little sketchy, right?
Right.
But I liked it. I thought it's fun.
The clues were there, but you only see them in hindsight, don't you?
Right.
Exactly.
It's like a good mystery, though, because they were planted.
I wouldn't even think about the window one, honestly. Like, because, open a window. It's, and you're on a beautiful island. You just want that nice island breeze. Wouldn't even think about that. I wouldn't think about Nan and Muffy's relationship because, you just how you know each other. It's casual conversation. The only thing that probably would have kind of hinted to me if I was paying more attention to it would be the nails. Like,
yeah, but who
you know what? And in saying that too, it was all staged and set up. How mean-spirited is Muffy to know that Nan's had this saga with the baby?
But, she did say that. She did say that some of the pranks went too far, and she apologized for that. So, but I guess
sorry,
it was all part of the reality of the situation. She had to make them all believe that they were in danger because otherwise they'd suspect something, right? Everyone has to get the same amount of.
You relive your trauma. Fools.
You kind of know though, like you sort of suspect Muffy even when you fund the dolls.
You expect something,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't expect the sister twist, but you were thinking...
You didn't expect the sister twister, but no. You did not. Yeah. Now, there was a remake. I originally said, we should compare it as well.
Let's not.
Don't watch it, because it is a remake in name only. So, it has nothing to do with this movie.
It doesn't really have even the same concepts or anything. It's
no.
like a different film.
It's bad. There's a reason
Look, it surprises me that they didn't contemplate a sequel to this. With a different cast, like Friday the 13th, someone else goes to a different blah blah blah, and then
But you
on
think
the same
but the gimmick's blown though, then, and it was.
But it could be a different gimmick. It might not be. It might not actually be a joke on the second one. Do you know what I mean?
Ooh, everyone thinks it's a joke because of the first one, and then it's not a joke. Okay.
Alas, it didn't happen. It was a modest hit, and I think it's more of a cult movie now. It's one of those kind of
I think
underrated.
It was critically panned, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was straight to DVD.
Horror movie wasn't, but
straight to DVD. It was terrible. I mean,
no, we're talking about the original.
The original.
I thought you were talking about the remake. I was saying it was straight to DVD.
No, it was critically panned though, the original, and it was.
It actually was kind of like hit and miss. Like people loved it or they hated it. Like they were either really pissed off with the twist or they're like, "Ooh, what a good twist."
Yeah.
So look, I think it's a nice little anomaly amongst your Friday the 13th. A nice little anomaly against those Friday the 13th and Halloweens and Nightmare on Elm Streets and Black Christmases and all those kind of slasher movies that were happening at the time. It's a little, different flavor, and I think it stands out in a good way, in my opinion.
I think it opened the doors for a lot of movies like this to be successful. I mean, think about Happy Death Day. Think about Tucker and Dale versus Evil. Like, this gave them space to be funny and scary.
Well, this was like the original Scream in a way. It was tongue in cheek, and it was playing with the concepts, and then turn them all on their head. And it did open the door to say, oh, a slasher film doesn't just have to be a slasher film, because around this time too, then we got like the Sleepaway Camp sequel, then, wasn't it? And they amped it up.
We love Sleepaway. Do you guys want us to do Sleepaway Camp? Because I would love to talk about
waiting
Sleepaway
for
Camp.
you to say, please do Sleepaway Camp.
Comment. I love Sleepaway Camp, so let's do it.
Desperately want to do Sleepaway Camp.
All right, guys. I need a body count. Give me out of 10. How many bodies are we got? Out of 10.
Oh wait, okay. So actual body count for this film is obviously 0, but a score out of 10. Okay.
A score out of 10.
Okay. Wait. So Katie, just let me get it ready.
You get it ready.
Yep. Katie's score is what out of 10?
I'll give it a 6.
6 bodies.
I think it's pretty modest. It's fun. It's not amazing by any means, but nothing else on. Why not?
All right.
Okay. What about you, Luke? What's your body count for this movie?
I'll type mine up. I would give it. Yeah. So I'm a little bit similar to Katie. I would say it's probably more of a Jeff score, like a 6.5 out of 10.
7. Okay. Cool.
What are you? Are you going to go 7 out of 10, Steve?
I'm actually going to go 7.5. I'm a bit more Jeff.
Oh, you're doing a real Jeff.
I'm a bit more Jeff than you. My reasoning is that it's a solid cast. It's a really solid concept. I think that if they had been marketed the right way, if it was marketed the right way as a mystery slasher, not you're going to see blood, guts, and gore. If they pushed the mystery element of it, I think it would have softened the social response to it.
I think there's more. Got a point there.
There's more right with this movie than there is wrong. There's not someone that I'm like, oh my god, get off there. Like, obviously, there's older teenagers. Well, they're not even teenagers. They're meant to be older.
Yeah, they're supposed to be in their 20s.
Pushing into their 20s.
And look, and nowadays we do have mature age students. So you think.
Well, that I'm thinking about it, like, think about Ready or Not, Knives Out. Like, very similar films. I mean, in the concept that it is a murder mystery with a horror aspect, and those films did great.
Yeah. So I think if it was made today and marketed correctly, look, I really enjoy it. I think it's, as I said, a nice little anomaly in 80s slashers that we don't really see. So thank you everyone for joining us today for April Fool's Day. If you haven't seen it and you've watched this whole thing, hopefully you're going to want to go see it. If you've got your own feelings or you want to add your own body count, then please comment below. Make sure, this is a big make sure, that you go to our YouTube and subscribe. Yeah, because we need a little bit of YouTube love. We are getting there, but we'd love a little bit more love. If you like uncensored horror, let us know, and we will do some more. We're going to keep it coming every now and then. But if there's something you want us to cover, or
Sleepaway Camp,
besides Sleepaway Camp,
desperately waiting for you guys to say,
Katie wants to do Leprechaun, and I don't know if I can go there.
I did not say Leprechaun specifically. I had a concept, and now I have
you
a
want
new
to do
concept.
Like bad horror movies with little baddies like Chucky, Critters.
She wants to do it.
I was angling for the St. Patrick's Day angle, and I was saying, because there's big names in these terrible Leprechaun movies. Come on, we got Jen Aniston out of it.
She wants to do a review series about original noses.
Oh!
Because Jennifer Aniston had hers in that one.
Oh, wow.
Damn! That was
Oh, wow.
mean.
April Fools.
Fools.
All right, kids, that is it for us. Keep it creepy, and we'll see you again soon on Uncensored Horror.